Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to day 5 of the Spiritual Millionaires series. What I'm about to share with you in today's live, although I have received amazing feedback from all of you about the previous 4 days, alhamdulillah, but what I'm going to share with you today is something that took me a long time to learn. This was a really hard earned lesson, and I of course, Allah's timing is perfect, but I know you having access to this information so early on in your journey could vastly change your trajectory. And I'm so excited to be able to share this with you. Like I said, throughout the series, I have been sharing the most valuable and most hard-earned lessons I have gained in through the process of growing Live Inspired as a heart-led business and movement. There has been a lot of purpose and drive and ambition and just pure love. I have lived and expressed my purpose through Live Inspired, alhamdulillah. These are the core lessons that I've learned. And the whole point of mentorship is having access to that wealth of wisdom so that your journey can be easier, smoother, and more accelerated, inshallah. That is the whole point of mentorship. Honestly, none of my mentors shared with me what I'm going to share with you today. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's not that common knowledge, but once you get it and this piece falls in for you, a lot of things will start to click for you. This is the most shocking thing about success, any kind of success, whether that success is you having more closeness and intimacy in your marriage, whether that success is a new income goal, whether that success is succeeding in your business or hitting that goal that you're like, oh my gosh, I never actually thought I would hit that. Any kind of success, whether that success is something that you've been making dua for years and years, and suddenly it just all comes to fruition. The most surprising thing about success, the most shocking thing that I was not prepared for, and now you can be prepared for, is that success doesn't feel good. Success does not feel good. Initially, yes, the first moment, I mean, all the time that you are asking Allah for it, you are praying for it, you are striving towards it, you think, okay, when it happens, I will be elated, I will be excited, I will be happy, I will be joyous, I will be so grateful. And that does happen for a few minutes. But once that wears, or even a few hours, maybe even a full day, but once that feeling wears off, all these other feelings start rushing in, and those feelings don't feel good. And nobody prepares you for that. Your brain goes into all kinds of mind drama when you finally hit that goal you have been striving for. Now, why does this happen? This isn't just something that I have personally experienced. In having facilitated 10,000 plus souls over 10 years, alhamdulillah, I have noticed this consistently. In fact, I got to a place where I would tell people, are you sure you want the thing that you're asking for? Because, when we work together, whether that's in a group program or more intimate setting, a closer proximity program, the chances of you getting that is very high. Like you are going to get that goal that you set, it's probably going to happen. I mean, I can't guarantee it, but what I can tell you is that the way we roadmap things and we build that bridge between, because we don't just say, okay, well, say you want it, make dua, and then that's that. No, we go deep. When you work with me, we go deep. We look at how to bridge that gap between where you are and where you want to be, and we build that bridge. I take you through that. There are specific skills and mindsets and habits and shifts, things that you have to let go of. There's a lot of letting go of stuff, things that you have to shed, and things that you have to unlearn, and new things that you have to learn, new things that you have to implement and embody. That process gives you a very high probability that you will get to the goal that you are seeking. I've seen it time and time again. There's a science to it and an art, alhamdulillah. And that's what I do with my clients. That is why we have hundreds upon hundreds of testimonials from people, mashallah. So I tell my clients, are you sure you want the thing that you say you want? Because when it does happen, you will have to then hold the feelings that come with the success. No one prepares you for how success messes with your mind. And what I mean by that is, immediately you have this flooding of emotions and sometimes anxiety. What if it doesn't last? What if I can't replicate this? What if it stops happening? I mean, now what if I get used to things being this way? What if things suddenly get better in your marriage? Not suddenly, but you've been working towards a better marriage and it does get better. And suddenly you're like, but what if it doesn't last? What if it goes away? You hit an income goal and you're like, but what if next month I can't make it happen? Or next year I can't make it happen? Or you feel not worthy enough. You see other people who are struggling in that very area that you are now succeeding, and you go, oh, I feel so bad. I mean, they're also good people. Like, is it okay? Is it okay for me to be excelling when they're not feeling so good? All of these emotions. And if you've ever felt this when you've hit a goal, please let me know in the chat box. I would like to know from you. Leave it in the comments. I want to know if this has ever happened to you. And you get shocked, and there's a part of you that goes, maybe something's gone wrong. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Like, how could I be feeling worse? And then you feel ungrateful on top of that because you're like, Allah gave me exactly what I wanted. And now I'm feeling terrible. Like, maybe I'm being ungrateful. I want to tell you, nothing has gone wrong. This is a very normal, expected response. You should expect this. In my mastermind that I ran this year, we've just closed it off. We'll be starting a new one next year, inshallah, a more elevated one. What happened was within the few months, people started reaching the goal they were striving for. And people came in with all kinds of goals. There was one particular person in my mastermind that specifically wanted, yes, Anisa, exactly. Right? You've been through this. You get the thing. So there was one person in our mastermind that everything started coming together. She had committed. She did my Boundaries Evolution program. She did Honor Your Emotions. And then after she had done those programs, she was like, right, I've got my foundation set. I am ready for that next level. She committed and invested into the mastermind, and things started moving quickly. And she brought in challenges. I helped her work through them. She implemented new strategies. There were energetic shifts. There were financial traumas that were shared, other traumas, generational trauma that were shared. And as all this happened, within a few months, everything started accelerating. Everything started compounding. In a relatively short space of time, so much success started hitting her in waves, one after the other, wave after wave. Relationship, marriage, family wins, parenting wins, business wins, money wins. It's like everything was just culminating wave after wave, because this is what happens when you set the foundation, when you do the internal work, when you're committed to it. It doesn't happen overnight. Know that she had done the process of Boundaries Evolution and Honor Your Emotions for like a year before that. And then she came into Mastermind. And then she was ready to receive what Mastermind had. And everything started to happen very quickly. And she started freaking out. I mean, she was happy and grateful, but on the other side, she was like, oh my God, to hold all this, it's a lot. Because success doesn't immediately feel good. Initially, especially when it's a very different level than what you're used to, it feels very unsafe because it's so different. Your brain thrives on certainty. Your brain likes it when things are the same old. It's an old survival programming within you. Your brain associates safety with familiarity. If it's the same old thing, it's like, okay, even the same old complaints. Have you noticed that people will like have the same complaints over and over? Yeah, but not do anything about it. They are in a comfort zone. It's an uncomfortable comfort zone, but a comfort zone nonetheless. When you start doing very different things, that is another level of discomfort. And then when those different things lead to very different results, because when you do differently, you will create something different. It's just, there's that saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And so many people do this. They do the same thing and you expect the same thing over and over. So when you change the way you think, the way you speak, the way you communicate, the way you relate, the way you process your emotions, the way you show up, the way you listen to other people, the way you engage with people, the action that you take, how you deal with failure, how do you deal with challenges, all of this, when you keep responding differently to the same situations, guess what? Everything starts to change. So there's a discomfort when you're taking the different action, and then that different action leads to a very different result. Something that you have never experienced before in your life, potentially something that no one in your lineage has even experienced, because she was breaking generational curses. This is what happens when people come into my space. Not only do you have a win, not only do you have a win that is so different for you, it's also sometimes so different to your lineage. Because if your mother struggled in her marriage, if your mother struggled with her in-laws, if your mother or your parents struggled financially, and suddenly you are unlocking new levels in that they didn't even experience, that maybe your grandparents didn't even experience, it is extremely unfamiliar to your nervous system. And so there's a freak out. Oh my God. And it feels incredibly scary. No one prepares you for that. That success doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good initially for a while. And through that, if you know how to hold space for that, if you know how to process uncomfortable feelings and sit with them, and you have tools, that's why we have the tools and the resources and the foundations in my foundational programs, Boundaries, Evolution, and Honor Your Emotions. We have that there. And when you have that, and even when you have a community support, that's a big part of Boundaries Evolution, is the community. It gets you through that. When you have that, you allow yourself to be supported by others. You allow yourself to be supported by the community. You have the tools day to day. You have the muraqabas. You have all of these things to see yourself through that discomfort. And then, as you see yourself through the discomfort, a very interesting thing happens. I'm really teaching you guys and breaking down for you the science, the neuroscience of unreasonable results. These things don't happen by accident. There's a science to it, and some art and intuition. But you've got to have the foundational aspects of the science in first. When you start holding space for that and you have developed a sturdy mechanism of being able to see yourself, lead yourself. This is what happens to people who work with me. They become leaders. They can lead themselves through emotions. They can lead themselves through discomfort. As you do that, you start to neurologically normalize that new level. I'm going to say that again. You start to neurologically normalize a new level, that new level. You start to acclimatize to it. It starts to become your new normal. But there's this big gap between when the success happens, when you unlock that next level, and when you neurologically normalize it. And most people underestimate how big that gap can be. You think it's going to happen immediately. And here's what happens when you don't have the support and the tools. And I've seen this happen with people, is that you will self-sabotage unconsciously to bring yourself back down to that old level. And this can happen in a number of ways. I'm not going to go into it today, but it can happen in a number of ways. So if you've ever found yourself in a cycle, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found yourself in a cycle where something good happens, you unlock a new level, and then soon after, you either get sick or something bad happens, or you lose that thing. Who's ever experienced that? I know all of you have. I have too. And then you think, oh my God, somebody put nazar on me. See, I should just keep myself at that level. When in fact, it is that self-sabotage came in. You are in a recalibration zone. You're recalibrating to a new level, and that involves various things going on internally. This is such a potent, powerful gem for you. Success doesn't always feel good. And some of the ways that I've seen it show up for clients, and then I see them through the process, but some of the ways I've seen it happen with them is, for example, I have seen this happen in real time. A client will say, my husband, I want him to give me more affection. I want him to be more engaged. I wish he was more loving. I wish he spent more time with me, etc., etc., etc. Okay. So when we work on that, we bridge the gap. right? We don't just think good thoughts, good fluffy thoughts, say affirmations. We might say a couple of affirmations, but we have a system. We have a systemized approach to get you there. We release certain things, shed certain things, because there may be ways in which that client is not receiving from her husband, not allowing herself to receive, or the way she's communicating with him needs to be tweaked. There's a lot of things that we can look at. And then we do all of that, and she takes a different action, and energetically she shifts, alhamdulillah. And then he starts being all of those things. Without her nagging, without her pushing, he starts being more affectionate. I've seen this happen over and over. She gets the very thing she wanted. And then she turns around and says, "Whew, I can't handle it. It's a bit too much, eh? I can't handle all this affection. He's starting to irritate me. This is starting to be annoying. I don't know, like, oh." And that is when I know there's another level there to work on. Because her nervous system and her brain has become accustomed to that old way. That she doesn't feel safe, even though it's what she wants. She really wants it. She doesn't feel safe to receive it. And that's that gap until she bridges that gap. And it always happens, alhamdulillah. If the person continues on the path, they bridge that gap and then they neurologically normalize the new way. Let me know if this is landing for you. What I'm sharing today is higher level stuff. So please let me know in the chat if it is landing for you, if you are picking up on this, because this is huge. Success doesn't feel good, not initially. Same thing happens with money goals. I see people, right? They want to work on their money situation, on their business stuff. They say they want more customers, more clients. Yeah, 100%. There we go. So nice to see you here, Anisa. They'll say they want more clients, and then suddenly we work on that, and then all the clients start coming, and they go, "Oh God, I don't know, this is a lot. I can't handle, I can't." Capacity hasn't been built yet. Capacity hasn't been built. And in the next sessions, we're going to be talking about building capacity and all of that. But I want you to know that if you have ever experienced this, it is normal. And there are ways to work around it, because when you don't know the ways of working around it, you will tend to get to a level and then bring yourself back down. Get to that level, bring yourself back down. And so you keep hitting on that ceiling, never able to break it, unless you have these measures in place, alhamdulillah. And that is what we do in the programs. That is why the people saw, right, in that. Expect that when you are building something big, when you are working towards unreasonable results, when you get those unreasonable results, don't expect for it to feel good immediately. Yes, you have that initial high. And then when you have all those uncomfortable feelings rush in, know that that's par for the course. Your ability to hold space for those feelings, to navigate those feelings, is what will determine whether you can hold that new level, whether you can hold that new vibration, that new resonance field. It's all up to you at that point. It's not other people, it's not their nazar, it's not their thing, it's you. I'm saying this with so much love. It is you. The women who come into my containers lead themselves. It is you. And that's empowering. That's a good thing. Because if it's you, that means you can do something about it. It's normal. And when you have the mechanisms in place to expand with this new level, to expand into the version of yourself that can be safe with this new level, that is when you will normalize that new level. And then every time there's an up level, that same process happens. That same process happens. It's not necessarily that the next time you do it, it won't be there. It's just that each time you do it, when you have these mechanisms in place, you will get better at navigating it. The expansion process will become more familiar to you. But it'll still be an icky process sometimes. It just is, right? So I want to leave you with this today. Think about a time in your life where this might have happened. And you kind of have been putting yourself, like, because you're not holding space for yourself to get to acclimatize to and normalize that next level, you drop back down. Think about a time like that. And now I want you to think about that unreasonable result that you are working towards and how it could bring up uncomfortable things when you reach it. So think about it. Like, what are some of the things that deep down, if you really asked yourself, you're a little bit afraid, you're a little bit like, oh, but if that does happen, then what if this happens? Start thinking about it. And wherever you feel resistance in your body, as you start connecting to it, holds so much wisdom for you about how you are holding success. As always, I want you to think about your best takeaway from today. Click on Live Inspired ZA on Instagram. Come and tell me in the DMs what your best takeaway was. I read every single one. I respond to every single one. It's been so lovely hanging out with you this evening or this day, wherever you are in the world. Have a beautiful rest of the evening or rest of the day. Sending you so much love and du'as. I will see you next time. Assalamu alaikum.